Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to Let's Play Dark Souls 3. We're coming up to the end of the base game. DLC is still forthcoming, of course, but we're getting ready to wrap this up. We're in the room behind Osiris's arena because that's where the Drakeblood armor spawns after running through Archdragon Peak, which we did last time. And there were a lot of things like that I'm starting to notice. There was Hovel's armor that showed up on the Stray Demon Bridge. There was Cornix's gear, which showed up after we beat the old Demon King with Cuculus. Now this. But now we can pick up with the Grand Archives, which we're basically done with. After the Trios Champions, there's not that much left of the Grand Archives. It's mostly a run to the boss. There's a little bit to do, though. There are a couple of not too hidden things. The very first thing that you want to do after admiring the view of Lothric Castle is hang a left. And you get an even prettier view of the end of the world. How does that line go? It's not the end of the world, but I can see it from here? Yeah. Really apt words for where we're at. Up here we can get a little preview. Not just the pilgrim butterflies, but some consummately badass enemies. 3 angelic golden executioners with full-blown wings. Full-blown angelic wings. Not the piddly little baby wings on the other executioners we've seen up to now. They're substantially tougher than just about any other enemy in the game as well. They have really big movesets. They have really big backs, though. One of the things that makes them pretty vulnerable. Not starting up that spin-to-win shit. These executioners actually have really good spin-to-win moves. Like, ridiculous. Almost too good. But they telegraph them pretty hard, so all you have to do is be out of range. I really like the appearance of this enemy. There are 3 of them in the whole game, and they're all right here. I don't know, there's something just extremely off-putting about them. Oh, I thought that was starting up the spin to win. He didn't hold it long enough. There's another one coming. So there are 2 with the halberd, and then 1 with the axes. This is really bad. Oh, actually it's not. The other one just stood still and watched. That's gonna be a... No? Sometimes they do it from midair. Like they'll go air to ground and then start a spin to win. Yeah, and this one's wielding golden twin axes. He's got his own little whirlwind. Again, same weakness as all the others. Really big back. Makes it extremely easy to backstab. These are some of my favorite standard enemies. Oh yeah, I'm glad one of them did it. Divine Pillars of Light. It's their appearance here, how tough they are, and the setting that they appear in. Like, they unsettle me to some extent. And when you beat the 3rd and final one, you get yet another Titanite slab. They're not repeating what they did in Bloodborne, giving you 1 lousy blood rock in the base game and then 1 in the DLC now. They want you to have plenty of options to max out your weapons. And now, somewhere up on this roof, there is a thing that I... prior to now, I wouldn't say was that well hidden. But apparently, because I'm having a really hard time finding it, it's more well hidden than I thought. It's down here? Through here, maybe? No. No, it is not. It's through one of these arches. I know that. I think I know that. Do I know that? I know that. Here we go. Took long enough. Our final Estus shard. Gonna give us our 15th and final Estus flask. I feel like they kind of botched the way that the Estus charges work in this one, because they were expecting you to actually split up your Estus between the regular one and the Ashen, which is why even even melee characters, it still requires focus to do the melee weapon arts. I imagine if I was playing a caster build, I would actually split them up a little bit. But for a melee build, nah. Didn't work out the way they envisioned it. So you just wander around with maxed out Estus. Like HP Estus. So in this giant cage covered in angelic looking feathers, we find divine pillars of light on a corpse. Miracle of Gertrude, the Heavenly Daughter, brings down multiple pillars of light in vicinity. The Queen's holy maiden Gertrude was visited by an angel who revealed this tale to her. Despite losing both her sight and her voice, she was determined to record the tale. Ordinary men cannot decipher her fragmentary scrawl nor comprehend how it became the foundation of the angelic faith of Lothric. So that body that we found this miracle on is Gertrude's body. The Heavenly Daughter, who was imprisoned up here above the Grand Archives after she started spreading the words of the angels to the people of Lothric. This, I'm gonna be really extra careful with this. God, they position him like an asshole. Now, little roll. Always feel uneasy on the tall rafters. Luckily, nothing in this game is nearly as bad as the rafters bit from Dark Souls 1 Anor Londo. That didn't stop me from falling off of the Cathedral of the Deep rafters multiple times. Oh shit. That still amuses the hell out of me. I don't even care. So I thought ahead. Wait, no, I didn't. Damn it, I thought I did. I thought I sent this back down. Did I not? Did I? Oh, well. So we're going to use the Nameless King's Sword Spear for this next boss. I already know what I'm bringing into the final boss, but... I want to use this for at least one fight. Because this thing is too cool looking to not get a little bit of use out of. Plus, it's got a very functional, very versatile moveset. So this approach is very reminiscent of Boletaria Palace, with all of the weak hollows hiding behind the palisades, and then the approach with all the elite red-eyed knights. As long as you walk and you don't run, they tend to buff their weapons instead of coming after you. If you just try to run past them, I guess their AI thinks, oh, he's trying to bypass me, so I'm gonna swing. Whereas if you walk up to them, I guess the AI thinks, okay, he's gonna fight me, so I'll buff. And they are not backing down, huh?
Oh dear. Another dogged contender. Welcome, unkindled one, purloiner of cinders. Mind you, the mantle of Lord interests me none. The fire-linking curse, the legacy of lords, let it all fade into nothing. You've done quite enough. Now have your rest.
So we've come for Prince Lothric, but who we wind up fighting when we get here is his older brother, Laureate. And we knew Lothric was sickly. We knew that from before. We know he never linked the fire. Remember Emma wanted us to come up and convince him to do so, to fulfill his duty? We know he had a private scholar whispering in his ear that it's a bad idea. But we get here, and he's guarded by his brother, who's also pretty sickly and crippled. And Lorien is a little bit tricky because some of his combos end with a teleport. And sometimes he'll teleport away just to do this. So he can start a combo up, and then he'll either do he'll teleport away and either do a fast swing or a slightly delayed one. Like so. And you have to read it pretty carefully.
Dear brother, I'm on my way. My brother, unyielding sword of Lothric's prince. Rise if you would, for that is our curse.
You could just tell Lorien used to be a badass. Still kinda is. He's still putting up a hell of a fight for being in the state he's in. But now is where the real fight starts. Whew. This is about the third time I've heard this song. It's starting to grow on me. So the trick to beating this is you have to kill Lothric. You can kill Lorien as many times as you want, but he'll just keep getting brought back. Man, I had a really good phase 1. I'll heal after this. So now, because Lothric's on Lorien's back, he follows that little strike up with Soul Spear. There we go. I was trying too hard to go ham on the younger brother, because it's a little bit finicky where you have to go for the hit to get the damage to actually go onto Lothric. So I was getting caught a lot just trying to circle around and line up the hit at the wrong time. Oh, I thought he was going to do the energy wave. However, when he brings Lorien back, he's vulnerable for a really long time. So it's not like doing damage to Lorien does nothing. And this will be it. Really like that fight. It's kind of tricky and it's a nice twist. But take a look around his room and see what it's covered in. Mounds and like it's caked in feathers, like the ones we find in Gertrude's cage. The two princes rejected their duty to become lords of Cinder and settled down far, far away to watch the fire fade from a distance. A curse makes their souls nearly inseparable. Remember what was on Lothric's throne. He is referred to as the last hope of his line. The Lothric bloodline was obsessed with creating a worthy heir, and when this proved impossible, resorted to unspeakable means. Suffice it to say, the path to linking the fire is a cursed one indeed. So we know that they were doing some dirt with Gertrude, and now we have, like, the Lothric bloodline being bred specifically to link the fire and be Lords of Cinder, and, you know, they came out sickly and they resorted to something unspeakable. Look at this relief. Look at the cherubs holding the crown. That's what I want you to pay attention to. Their bodies, their torsos are serpent-like. And it leads to a Titanite slab. Hey, hooray. Is that the last one? No, it's not even the last Titanite slab we're gonna get. There's 2 more that we can get. There's 1 more that we will get. One of them you get by trading the coiled sword fragment with the crows. The other one is after you place all of the cinders on the throne. You can buy one from the Shrine Handmaid for 30,000 souls, I want to say? We'll find out. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take one more trip back here to the Grand Archives, because there's one more thing to do after defeating the twin princes, Lothric and Lorien. And we're once again going to take this shortcut elevator up. We're going to conclude Orbek's questline. His questline caps off in a really fitting place here in the Grand Archives. Remember, after we exhausted all of his inventory, we bought all the spells from him, learned all we could. He told us that he was leaving to study and reinvent himself, to try to acquire further knowledge of sorcery. And he didn't get too far. He got to the archives, but he died here. So we'll take a look at those ashes after we get to safety. Orbek is a really wonderful arc. Umbral Ash of Orbek of Vinheim. With this, the Shrine Handmaid will prepare new items. Orbek was fascinated with sorcery, but without means, so offered to serve as an assassin in exchange for acceptance into the Dragon Academy, believing that one day he could reinvent himself as a sorcerer. Yeah, I really like his arc, from, like, his smug condescension when you first meet him. There's one more step to his arc, though. Well, not his arc, but Yuria's.
I see Orbek's claim is proven false. As it should be our right and deserving Lord of Hollows. It is a Londor treasure befitting of a true Lord. Lord of Hollows, may the dark sigil guide thy way. O Lord and Liege, I prithee, when the moment, the age of the gods of ours, be safe.
Yeah. So that's a hell of a Demon Souls reference, the Morian Blade. So you form this bond with this smug prick. And, he grows to respect you, and he divulges things about himself, and he comes up with this goal of putting his bloody past behind him and reinventing himself one day. It's actually kind of a Faustian story. But, like, a little bit more of a positive one. About, like, trying to run from his past and his guilt because he traded his soul for power.
Well met. All is 5 lords for 5 thrones. To think others might ne'er be raised. the last lords, a rather little lord, most undeserving of the honor. Speak with the Firekeeper. I took the mantle of Lord of Cinder of my
I was hoping he would have just a little bit more. Just a little bit. So we have Lothric's Holy Sword, Prince Lothric's Straight Sword, blessed by Emma with potent magic. Young Lothric was meant to be a champion and was expected to wield this platinum sword, but some things will remain distant dreams forever. Sacred Lothric Light. Ultra Greatsword of Lorien, Prince Lothric's older brother, cast in smoldering molten steel and stained black. Before Lorien embraced his brother's curse, he was a knight who single-handedly slayed the demon prince, but the victory eternally scorched his sword with flame.
I took the mantle. Choose life.
Took the mantle as lord, blah blah blah. There's one more thing I want to do. And, oh good, the fog wall. They must have patched it so the fog wall, that kind of cuts the loading for the rest of the zone. They must have patched it so the zone loads in more quickly. I want to come out to the Firelink Tower, where all of those dead firekeepers were, because we find Irina out here.
Oh, sweet champion of ash. Let souls be your strength.
She has finally become a full-fledged firekeeper, and we can level up from her now. I don't think there's much of a purpose in doing so, but it's a cool way to cap her storyline off that doesn't just end with her dying somewhere and you collecting her ashes. Seems to be so commonly the case. Most of the time it makes thematic sense, but occasionally it just grates a little bit. Now we'll come to Emma, because I forgot there actually is one more thing after that to do. We can get the Titanite slab, and after beating the Twin Princes, Lorien's armor becomes available. We already have Lothric's. Remember the swaddling clothes that we picked up like near the beginning of the castle? Armor of Prince Lothric's older brother Lorien. This black-dyed brass armor was passed down to him from the royal family. Lorien, raised as a knight, is said to have been left mute and crippled by his younger brother's curse. It's also said that Lorien, in fact, wished it so. It's a really cool piece of armor.
Be sure.
The 5 lords sit their 5 thrones, all thanks to thee, most worthy of lords. Ashen One, with the lords as thy witness, bend thy knee afore the bonfire's coiled sword, and let the lords' embers acknowledge thee as their true heir, a true lord, fit to link the fire. Ashen One, if thine heart kill, I will. Farewell, Ashen One, mayst thou. Noble lords of Cinder, the fire fades. And the lords go without thrones. Surrender your fires to the true heir. Let him grant death. To the old gods of Lordran, deliverers of the first flame.
The Kiln of the First Flame is actually a third variation of Firelink Shrine. Also, we're going to take a look at that Morium Blade description. As said before, a twisted sword resembling the towers of Londor's sable church. 8 branching blades and thorns induce bleeding. The church's blessing makes the weapon revel in the agony of its owner. Heavy losses of HP boost attack, a curse most befitting its deformed appearance. So here's the deal with Yuria. Her armor tells us that she was one of 3 sisters who co-founded the Sable Church of Londor. They're described as maidens of a primordial serpent. She also utters the name Kaathe if killed in a certain spot. As in, Kaathe, I failed you. She uses and sells the Dark Hand, the shield of the Dark Wraiths. So this is pretty definitive proof that Kaathe is pulling the strings in Londor. But enough about that. I'm biting my lip just to avoid squealing. Oh my god. The whole thing about Lothric being where the land of the lords converged and its nature being shifting and churning and unclear. Very, very literal. The transitory lands coming together like giant tectonic shifts. Or more like they're teleporting inside each other. Like space and time are just violently warping around like a nightmare. It's a supremely cool image. So we're gonna light the bonfire at the Kiln of the First Flame, a little bit closer to that dark sign sun, and just inches away from that final boss. But there's one thing that I want to take care of post cutscene. Little Ludlith of Courland, after that cutscene, is finally himself Cinders, and there's something on his throne now. The Skull Ring. Where are you at? One of Courland's transposed wonders derived from the soul of a soul feeder. Easier to be detected by enemies, the soul feeder was a beast that insatiably absorbed souls to feed its own power. Even after its accursed corpse was burned, it's said that the pungent stench of souls left the air permanently stained. So Ludlith and Courland and all of this, we know so little about him. And he's the one person that you immediately look at with suspicion. Because he seems almost too good and too noble to be true. Like, oh, he's gonna betray us and take all the cinders or something, but he was, for the most part, like, straightforward, stand-up guy. And then that skull ring gets introduced, and it asks, or was he? I don't know. They make him a real mystery, and then throw that last little bit of doubt in with the ring. Oh man, this environment, this framing, this build-up, Miyazaki has mastered this art. King Alot at the end of Demon Souls, while not a fun fight, has a good build-up and is exactly what it should be to tell the story it needs to tell. Gwyn is my least favorite build-up, but so much atmosphere and storytelling. And then there's Garmin. Oh, Garmin. Build up to the Orphan of Kaathe, and this punctuation mark that you hope for. So the Soul of Cinder is extremely weak to bleed. If you have Kaathe Rouge, it'll work wonders against the Soul of Cinder. Who, by the way, is kind of brilliant because the Soul of Cinder is shown at the end of the opening cinematic, and he's also on the box art, so you think nothing of him, but he's actually the final boss all along. But also, take note of his moveset. He's also got an annoying flippy curved sword phase and another pyromancer phase. He is mimicking player characters of every type and build. And then there's this. There it is. There it is. Do you hear it coming in the background? It's Gwyn! It's not just Gwyn, it's everybody who has ever conceivably linked the fire. Including Gwyn, because how could you not include him? And in this phase, he even fights like him. The piano comes in, and his moveset changes to Gwyn. One of the best uses of a callback of all time. I'm a little bit sad that he did the sorcery phase, but he didn't use his big Kamehameha. That attack, that combo he just did can juggle you in the air. Other things, I believe he is still parryable. He's got a couple new moves, but a lot of his old moveset, he's just a little bit toned down in aggressiveness. Fuck, I love this final boss so much. Soul of the Lords. He is like the vanguard for the first flame and every soul that's ever been consumed by it. Soul of the Lords. Since Lord Gwyn, the first Lord of Cinder, many exalted lords have linked the first flame, and it is their very souls that have manifested themselves as defender of the flame. This is something that I have wanted forever. A final boss in a Souls game who is just every player character. Who is just like the character from the previous games. Like the Chosen Dead from Dark Souls 1? Yeah, we kinda just fought him. Now there's only one thing left to do. That might be one of my all-time favorite cutscenes. Because everything about the way that it is lit and framed is such complete perfection. The framing of the character doubled over, like wreathing the eclipse, is the sickest looking image in the whole game. But then the camera pulls back in that dripping bit of the dark sign eclipse. It looks like it's sand pouring through his fingertips the way it's framed. Like, in a symbolic way, it's the first flame in his hands pouring through his fingertips. He owns the sun, in a way, in a manner of speaking. And then that final pullback where the sun is directly, like, beneath him, and the pouring thing is directly over him, like it's like he's bathing in the first flame. Not only is all the visual symbolism conveyed in the framing, all of it is just so extremely cool. There is nothing else like that in the whole game. Like, nothing else is lit like that. It's just for extra dramatic emphasis. There's really not a better way for this to have ended. Like, yeah, we still have DLC, but just talking about this final act of the game, what a home run. What a complete home run. So that was the usurpation of the fire ending, which is it's like the true ending for Bloodborne. The much harder to get ending that requires a bunch of extra obscure steps. In this case, being following Yoel's quest into Yuria's quest line, and then following hers to completion, not saving Henri, marrying her, taking her dark sigils. I will eventually show off the other endings in a bonus video, and before anyone asks, yeah, I'm doing the DLCs when they come out. Like, come on. There's not any Souls content that I haven't done yet. I'm not gonna start now. Especially since I'm profoundly curious about where they're gonna go with the DLCs, because there's gonna be 2 of them. And all of their DLCs have been consistently better than the main games by like a really wide margin ever since Artorias of the Abyss, all 3 Crown DLCs in Dark Souls 2, the Old Hunters. Plus, there's a lot of loose ends they didn't tie up. There's stuff I still want to see too. Like, I want to see Kaathe in its prime. I want a little more on the deep. Like, what was this age of deep water that Aldrich envisioned? I'd love some more information on the Profaned Flame. I want some closure with the Primordial Serpents and the Angels. There's so many directions that you can go with this. And Dark Souls 3 as is, there's so many moments where everything is, like, everything almost ties together nicely. And it's almost really cool. But they're clearly holding some stuff back. There's also the possibility that the 2 DLCs could just be like brand new areas and only tie in tangentially, like with Shulva, Aleum Lois, the Old Iron King, the Crown of the Old Iron King. But I think I would be a little bit disappointed if they went that route. I'm not going to spend too much time on the lore because, like I said, there's still the DLC, and that could upend a lot of speculation and interpretation. I spent a lot of time in the lore as is. For now, taking on its own merits, Dark Souls 3 I think is a flawed masterpiece. I don't think it's as heavily flawed as Dark Souls 2 was, but it certainly has its problems. But be that as it may, I would still say if things were to end with this one, and they may very well, there's not a Dark Souls 4 coming in the near future. If this is Dark Souls' swan song, then bravo. It ended strong. It ended really strongly. I look forward to whatever From does next, especially Miyazaki. They confirmed Armored Core is coming back. I think that's going to be a VR reboot of Armored Core. They're working on a totally new IP. That's something that, according to them, we haven't really seen before. And they're doing another dark fantasy action RPG similar to Dark Souls, but with some kind of twist. And it's, I think, confirmed to not be a Souls game, or at least not Dark Souls. That all sounds really good to me. I do hope that whatever that dark fantasy game is, they give it a little bit of time, like maybe a few years. I'm actually not in that much of a rush, because we had Dark Souls 2, Bloodborne, and Dark Souls 3 back-to-back in back-to-back years. It's a little bit much, and as special as I think these games are, they still need a little bit of room to breathe. But it's a formula that I love. I will eagerly play whatever's in the pipes, whatever's coming down the pipeline. So this is the base game of Dark Souls 3 coming to a close. Always bittersweet when I have to wrap one of these up, but that's all I've got for you now. Thank you, FromSoft and Miyazaki, for putting these out. Like, these are such a pleasure to play and dig into, because I really do hold this series in super high regard. As always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow me on Twitter, Twitch, all that. You'll find that all in the description. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take it easy. Have a good one.